Welcome to the Musician's Compendium. I'm Tod Fitzpatrick, Associate Director of the School of Music, and you are listening to a weekly program dedicated to the creative work of the many talented students and faculty from the growing and culturally diverse UNLV School of Music. You've just heard Dr. Lillian Roberts sing Ricky Ian Gordan's Will There Really Be a Morning? Lillian, what a beautiful performance of Ricky's piece. And I want to welcome you to the studio today.
Thank you. It's really great to be here.
That's great. And since this program highlights both faculty and students from the School of Music, you have lived in both worlds to some degree over the last few years. Not only have you recently completed a Doctor of Musical Arts degree, but you have also been teaching several of our undergraduate voice students for several semesters. Your performance resume is impressive, to say the least, with high-level training programs around the United States and in Europe, and you've had great success in regional and national voice competitions as well.
Yes, thank you.
Lillian, I know that a component of your recent research is the topic you developed for your doctoral document entitled Image, Narrative, and the Concept of Time in Valerie Capers' song cycle, Songs of the Seasons. What can you tell us about your work?
Well, yes. Song of the Seasons is a song cycle written for soprano, cello, and piano. And when I heard the piece, I loved it because it sounded like it was incorporating jazz and classical idioms. And I loved that. So once I decided, okay, well, let me see if I can find the music. And when I contacted the composer, who's really a blind jazz pianist. In fact, she's the first blind graduate of the Juilliard School. And when I contacted her, she was so amazing and wonderful. And she immediately sent her music. I had to contact the Black Music Research Center for music first, and then they contacted her. And immediately I was just so intrigued by her music and by her. And so my dissertation, I decided to do my dissertation on her work because I feel like it's, underrepresented. But I thought, wow, she wrote the poetry and she wrote the music for the piece. And so my document consists of an analysis of the music and of the poetry. I basically did a versification of her poetry, which hasn't been done.
Now, what does that mean, a versification?
Oh, it's an analysis of each word or each line of her poetry and the meaning behind it. So that was different for me because I'd never done that before, but I was so interested in it, I decided to do that. So, I thought, well, singers can use this when they pick up this music. The poetry actually means more than what you initially hear or see.
Yeah, as great art usually does.
Yes.
Right. Now, has she also written other things for voice?
Yes, she has. She recently wrote another song cycle for soprano and some other instruments called Ruby. And it's about a 6-year-old girl based on she calls it a docu-cycle. And that's because it's like a documentary song cycle about one of the girls who went into segregate the schools and her experience in kindergarten, I believe, or first grade.
And this is in New York, or where was this?
This was in New Orleans.
Oh, New Orleans. Okay.
Yes.
Or Narlands.
New Orleans.
You're right.
So that was recent. I think that was 2012.
Okay.
And she also wrote an operatorium.
Oh, really?
Yes.
An operatorium?
An operatorium.
It's a new genre.
Yes.
Okay.
She actually coined the term. Again, another term she created, just like docucycle, I would say.
Okay.
And it just incorporates, it's an opera that wasn't meant to be staged. But as soon as she created it, people asked to stage it, and it was staged, like every single time. It was never performed as an operatorium.
Interesting. So, and I know that you sing some other American works. We heard earlier American composer Ricky Ian Gordan with what was that? Will There Really Be a Morning? What can you tell us about his works or why you're drawn to his works?
Oh, I love Ricky Ian Gordan. For a voice like mine, which is a larger voice, either you can think of me as a spinto, Verdi soprano, or a light dramatic.
Now, what is a spinto?
Oh, a spinto. That's a voice that has lyric qualities, but it also has like an edge or a force to it. So it can sound soft. It can spin really beautifully in the upper register, but it can also have a really strong, very huge sound that makes you think it's more of a dramatic.
Okay.
It's a great voice to have, but it's also comes with a lot of responsibility.
Okay.
I think it means forced. I think that's what it means, but I'm not 100% sure what the full definition is. And Verdi sopranos who sing Aida or Othello, or that can be a little more lyrical, but still, just basically Verdi roles. Un ballo in maschera.
Sure.
Different pieces like that. So for my voice, it's hard to find lighter repertoire that's fun, that's not always so serious. And that's what attracted me to Ricky and Gordan, and especially this piece, Will There Really Be a Morning? It has a musical theater kind of feel to it, but it's still an art song. And so I thought, wow, I love his pieces, and that's what made me really explore him.
That makes sense. And I believe that Ricky's mother was also a singer.
Yes, she was.
Right.
And he was always there. She would always say, oh, play for me, for these concerts in their home.
Right.
And he also loved poetry.
Right.
And so he ended up combining those.
Yeah,
two things.
Absolutely. I always find it fascinating. He can recite poems at the drop of a hat amazingly. And what about A Horse with Wings?
Oh, and A Horse with Wings. He actually wrote this piece. I think he actually wrote the poetry and the music for this piece, and he sings it on YouTube.
Oh. Okay.
I love this piece because it has so much heart to it. Again, it's a lighter piece, but I like the message in the piece. He's dreaming of all these things, of a better world, and he fantasizes about it. And I think that's what a lot of us do when we want to relieve stress, or we want a better world, or we're hoping for something different, and that's what music does.
And this is A Horse with Wings. Lillian is a classically trained singer-musician. I'm sure you've sung in many languages. Do you have any favorites?
Yes, actually. I grew up in Germany, so I've always been attracted to languages, being immersed in a German world, if you will. My dad was in the military, that's why.
Oh, wow.
So I grew up there.
I didn't know that about you.
Yes.
Oh, which city or which part?
The last place we were in was Stuttgart.
Huh.
We were there for 6 years, so my dad was stationed there 2 times. While in my early years.
Yes.
So we were there until I was 13.
Wow. So did you speak German as a child?
I did. I spoke a little bit. Of course, I went to American schools, so I still I spoke a little bit here and there.
Okay.
But when I have to sing in it, it's not as difficult.
Sure.
Because it's in my ear.
Right.
But it's so funny. I took it for granted because I was always more attracted to the Slavic languages.
Ah, okay. So you've sung in Italian, I'm sure, and
Yes.
French and
Italian.
Spanish.
Yes.
Okay.
Italian, French, Spanish, Russian, Slovenian, Czechoslovakian, which I have a great YouTube video on. On YouTube.
On YouTube, since they commonly are those YouTube videos.
That people love.
Uh-huh.
So I would say French used to be my favorite.
Yes.
And it still is one of my favorites. And I love Italian, of course.
Mm-hmm.
How can you not? But the Czech and Russian are really up there.
Uh-huh. And you've brought a Russian piece with you today.
Yes.
What is it?
It's the title of this piece is "Nie krasavitsa," and it talks about this guy telling this woman not to sing these beautiful. The song of Georgia. She's reminding him of his hometown, Georgia.
Great. We'll hear it. Lillian, I understand you've been developing performing arts groups here in the Valley. What can you tell us about that?
Yes, I have a company that I created. It's called Voccalis International Singing Repertory Company. And the company is really for vocal arts. It's for singers. I wanted to create a company that would help singers, especially local singers, launch their careers or continue their careers while studying at UNLV or, for whatever reason, whatever landed them in Las Vegas. And we welcome all genres. I've worked with pop. I had a pop girls group, and they were little girls. And then now I have another group, Tessitura, which is it's made up of professional opera singers, and we sing ensemble, and we're all soloists. So that makes the group really special. So we can tour, we can do operas, we can perform musicals. And recently, we produced our first opera.
Wow, what was that?
Or two operas. Cavalleria Rusticana by Mascagni and I Pagliacci by Leoncavallo. And we did a double bill of that. It's usually known as calf pack.
Right, in short, right? Yeah,
Yes.
in the industry.
Yes.
Right. Great. And how was it received? Was it a success?
Yes, they loved it. I mean, it was one of the best responses I've seen since I've done opera here, which is, I know it sounds odd, but the audience seemed to really love it. And I was taken aback because I didn't even know if I could do something like this and really accomplish it. There were a lot of things. I mean, we did it on a shoestring budget, if that. So, we're looking for sponsorship and things like that. That's something I have to really focus on this year so we can have a season next year.
Oh, that's great. That's a real asset for the community, I'm sure. And it's a great opportunity for the many singers that are here in the Valley.
Yes, it is so wonderful. I was able to use mostly the singers were from here, but we did use a few from out of town, from the University of Reno.
Okay.
We used two from there, and then we used another guy who's an alumni. Well, he's still studying here, but he's living in Albuquerque. We used him as well, Renato, and he also is the general director of the company.
Okay, great. And what are your goals with the company, or what do you have planned coming up for next season, or what's in the works, I should say?
Well, we're thinking of performing Amal and the Night Visitors in December, and then we're considering dialogues of the Carmelites.
By Francis Poulenc?
Yes.
Okay.
We.
Right.
And so we can use a lot of women, and it's just an amazing opera. And we may do a concert version of Turandot.
Great. Excellent. Well, that's exciting. It's nice to see that you're taking your talents, the things that you've worked so hard for, and really kind of giving back to the community by developing something like this.
Yes, this is something I've always wanted to do. I've always wanted to own my own school, but you need lots of money for that. And I thought, well, I think a company is something that we can anywhere. We could use any space and create art, and we could sing for donations starting out. So it's really great. I hope it expands even more.
Excellent. Well, one thing I've always enjoyed watching your performances in opera and in song as well. But in particular, you seem always so connected when you sing spirituals. And I know that you've brought a spiritual with you today to play. Can you tell us some about it?
Yes, Lord, How Come Me Here? This is actually a spiritual I didn't know a lot about when I took it on. And my teacher, Dr. Alphonse Anderson, had mentioned it to me. And I thought, okay. But yes, it's just a lovely spiritual. This particular spiritual is an arrangement by a viola player.
You seem so shocked. shocked.
I am out of England, you
Okay.
know? I mean,
Okay.
he's quite interesting. So what's cool about it is it can be sung a cappella, but in this case, I'm doing it with a quintet of instruments, 2 violins, viola, what's a flute, and piano. Did I say quintet? Maybe there are 6. My math is off. I got a music degree, whatever.
So this is from a recital that you gave here on campus. Is that right?
Yes, it's from my 3rd doctoral recital.
Okay. And so I
Or
want to...
4th. 3rd.
Well, the 4th would have been your lecture recital, right?
Yes.
Right.
Thank you.
So probably your 3rd, your chamber recital. Right.
Yes.
Okay. I know. It's a grueling degree, and you have many recitals and many different things to keep track of. So believe me, I understand. I've been through it.
Oh, my God.
So I just want to say thank you for being with us today on the Musician's Compendium. And let's finish the program with your beautiful recording of the spiritual Lord, How Come Me Here.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Maya Thielen, a vocal student in the UNLV School of Music, and I'm here to tell you about upcoming musical events. On February 28th, Jessica Patchett performs her Flute Masters recital. On March 1st, UNLV music students present a convocation as well as a graduate string quarter. My own junior voice recital takes place on March 2nd, and on March 5th, catch a chamber music concert featuring violist Jason Bonham. For more information, including times and locations, visit www.unlv.edu/music/events. We hope to see you there.